Now, I know I haven't been super kind with Total Drama Pahkitew Island's episode content in the past, and rightfully so in my opinion, but it has been 8 months since I did my last type of video like this on a Total Drama season, and I figured I'd end out the then vs now stuff on Total Drama on this note before the Owl House comes back in October. So as I did with the previous two videos, I'm going to be looking at how Total Drama Pahkitew Island developed over the years from what we know and comparing it to the final product we know today. I want to preface by saying there is noticeably less public information online about this season's development compared to Revenge of the Islands and especially the original Total Drama Island, so just keep that in mind. News about Pahkitew Island began to first surface back in October 2013, not too long after All Stars began airing on Cartoon Network. An article on DeviantArt by a user named AsuJoel, hopefully I pronounced that right, revealed storyboards pertaining to the second half of the first episode for the season, as well as the personalities of all the contestants involved. Based on the descriptions of everybody as well as what these characters are doing in the storyboards, it appears production was pretty close to the final product during this period in time, which makes sense considering this all started leaking online less than a year after this season ended up airing on Cartoon Network. There's Dave saying his exact lines about Sean getting a can of soup, Sky described as a cocky athlete, Max trying too hard to be evil, you know, all this turned out to be true, obviously. The designs for some of these characters do look a tad different, however, I feel like a lot of the time when it comes to storyboard stuff, the characters drawn almost never look exactly like the final product turns out, even on when it comes to shows that already exist. That's just how I've seen it. I do still want to put this image on screen showing the storyboard designs of all the characters in full color though, to give you guys a more clear picture. This image is from DeviantArt user Mustache Skulls. Now I haven't seen any specifics confirmed on the coloring in particular, but I'm going to assume these colorings were just stylistic choices from the DeviantArt user rather than the official beta colorings from the production. I didn't find anything confirming these color schemes to be official, so I wanted to throw that out there. Cut to January 6th, 2014. The Venezuelan Spanish voice actor for Scarlet posted a video on Instagram of her in a recording booth doing voice lines from the first episode. Not only that, but a brief animation including said voice lines was shown, which by default also showed Scarlet's final design, albeit in fairly low quality. Pahkitew Island was originally intended to air on May 27th, 2014, but was delayed to July 7th, 2014 for unknown reasons. However, for whatever reason, Italy was able to release the full Italian dub of Pahkitew Island back in June 2014. At least I think so, because that's the time period people were uploading the Italian dub for it on YouTube, so.
A tutto! Reality! Isola di Pahkitew!
Throughout spring 2014, tons of information related to the season were released publicly by Fresh TV and Cake themselves. The entire cast in their final designs, voice actors for Ella, Rodney, Amy, and Sammy were revealed, even the audition tapes for every contestant except for Sean and Sky, likely because they were the two finalists. Now to compare everyone's original designs with their current ones to see how much has really changed. Starting off with Beardo, the human beatbox, he didn't seem to change a whole lot. His eyes and mouth are definitely a lot different than his current self, the hair color being much lighter toned brown as well. He's also got an earring shown on his left ear with a few rings on both hands. The clothing and hairstyle look borderline unchanged though. Not seeing a ton of differences with Leonard either. The fake beard seems to be more straight than curled. His skin complexion looks a bit darker than the final. The belt around his robe used to be the same yellow as the buttons on it, and the patch on his hat was changed from gray to blue. I'm just gonna do Amy and Sammy at the same time since they're essentially the same character in terms of physicality. Their faces, body shapes, and clothing style all remain the same for their final selves. It's the colors that got the big changes. Their cheerleader uniforms consisting of mostly blue rather than red, and their hair changing from a much brighter yellow to the current standard blonde color. Rodney, like Amy and Sammy, keeping his general body shape and clothing style with some color changes. If you're starting to see a pattern here, then you're right. Not a ton has changed with some of these characters. His overalls were much lighter blue in his prototype, as well as a pure white shirt and darker brown boots rather than orange boots. For whatever reason, they also changed his eyebrows from orange to match his hair to black to match his eyes, which in hindsight was probably a good choice because at that point I think Rodney would have looked a little too similar to Scott, you know, both being red-haired farm country boys that have orange eyebrows. Ella looks almost exactly the same with not only colors but just clothing style too. The biggest differences are her eyes originally being brown then changed to black, and her dress having a bit more refined details to it with some lines around the bottom and the torso area being a darker darker pink than the bust area. Topher kept the same hairstyle, hair color, and eye color as his original, but sported completely different colored clothing, his old shirt being purple with an orange stripe and gray pants instead of tannish green pants. Now, even though I'm not already a huge fan of final version Dave, I think I would have hated him even more if they kept his prototype design. These colors are just all over the place. A purple polo matched with pink pants paired with poop green shoes. Get this guy a stylist! They also changed his skin color from a bit of a darker complexion to matching that of characters like Mike and Noah. Scarlet obviously kept her scarlet hair as well as her long sleeve colored polo shirt, though her skirt and socks were both very dark gray in her prototype design, eventually being changed to teal and white respectively. Unfortunately, no beta design for her evil self. Sad, I guess. Max literally didn't change at all. I mean, if you manage to find a difference between these two photos on screen, I will actually give you $1 million, because I am seeing no differences here.
They're the same picture.
Jasmine still kept her Outback Titan physique and clothing. The biggest differences I spotted are her lips previously being red, part of her hat being bent upwards, and the amount of pockets on her vest being a lot more noticeable and or protruding. Sugar is essentially Max 2.0 in the sense where almost nothing changed from the design on the left to the design on the right. It's literally just her lips used to be a bit thicker than it ended up being in the final. Almost the same case with Sky, to be honest. And when I look at old Sky here, it looks like they just upped the saturation on her old design to land on her current one. With the exception of the earrings, of course. Those used to be purple to match her necklace, but they were changed to orange. Last, but certainly not least, Sean. Prototype Sean had a more red-shaded vest, pants without pockets on the side of each leg, and his hair being ever so slightly longer. By that I mean, in his final design, you can see part of the back of his head showing, whereas the prototype covers that area with hair. A bit of a side note, but it's very likely the crew had Sean's design in mind for a while, because in the Total Drama Action Reunion special, there was a homeless man who resembled Sean quite a bit. I think that just about covers everything. Hopefully I was able to provide you guys with some new information and context related to Total Drama Pakatu Island that you didn't already know existed. Like I said earlier, not nearly as much information about the early stages of this season are as public as the original Total Drama Island, so that's why this video ended up being, a bit shorter than the previous ones. If early storyboards / prototype designs start dropping online for the new upcoming seasons, then I would definitely like to make a video on those, although it probably wouldn't be in a then versus now style, because I would more than likely make those videos as soon as possible rather than waiting until the season fully airs to do so, but we'll see. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below, it helps out a ton, but for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.